Your NFL Sundays are about to get a whole lot more magical. When you bundle NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV, you get the most live NFL games all in one place. And with Multiview, you can watch up to 4 games at once, so you can catch all the action right from the comfort of home. Watch every game every Sunday on NFL Sunday Ticket and YouTube TV. Sign up now at youtube.com/Sunday Ticket. Device and content restrictions apply. Local and national games on YouTube TV. NFL Sunday Ticket for out-of-market games excludes digital-only games.
John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route? Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down!
Come on.
Ready! Down! Set! Hut! 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 Hut!
Hit me!
Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch. Nom 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
It's the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com podcast, where this is our second baby next to the unofficial 40. It's been around for quite some time. Caused a lot of concern for George this week when people kept mentioning the Bedlam game last year. He went back and listened to it.
I might drop some F-bombs tonight after the way that offensive line looked.
It was not good. Anyway, the Sooners do win at 51-3. Hey, covered for the alumni. At least you had that going.
It was a workman-like cover, wasn't it?
Thank you, Taylor Tatum.
Not terrible.
Thank you, Taylor Tatum, for your cover.
Lots of like from the Taylor Tatum experience tonight. I like that.
Well, and look, it was interesting because it was about the offensive line late in the game, and he found a way to break off some big plays. I thought Javonte Barnes looked good early, but let's start where it all went wrong, and that is Jalil Farooq, broken foot, out 6 to 8 weeks, going to have surgery to have a pin placed in his foot to help with the healing, and then you see. I mean, George, you've covered this stuff a lot. It's like they say 6 to 8 weeks, best case scenario, but when you start putting screws in people's legs with bone and all that stuff, it doesn't always go according to plan.
This is the way I would phrase it. I wouldn't count on Jalil Farooq being a major part of this offense, even if he were to return. And here's my thinking of it. One, you're putting a screw in his foot. I don't know if he's going to be able to be, his full dynamic self that we've seen Jalil Farooq be. And then number two, let's say it takes him 8 weeks. Would he come back? Or is he going to get ready for the NFL draft? Would he risk injuring? And it's the same foot that he broke in the spring. All of a sudden, is he going to put his NFL future on the line too, in the 9th week of the football season? I don't know.
Yeah, it might depend on where they're at.
Yeah.
Well, look,
in terms of, but I don't think he would quit.
No. That's not what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? If they're 6-3. And he comes back, I just don't. Yeah. I don't know.
It just sucks. I feel terrible for the guy. I mean, obviously, we were literally, on Monday and Tuesday, and then on Thursday in the game day preview, talking about Jalil Farooq and how much he really matured and kind of accepted this role of being a mentor for a bunch of these older or younger guys, and then to look up tonight and that I was flat out.
And to be the only big play that happened down the field tonight.
I was flat out shocked when they announced it. I realized he didn't come back into the game. I didn't necessarily remember what play it was, though.
Yeah, it was the 47-yard.
It was the opening, big play. That's when he
crazy. I've watched the play multiple times. I just don't know when it happened.
I think when he got tackled, he got kind of rolled up. But I don't know. It sucks, man. He was really the only receiver to get behind the defense. I guess Deion Burks.
J.J. Hester did once, but
he just dropped it. But I don't know. It sucks, and you look at that receiver room. It's funny how it works. I guess not funny, but it's ironic how it always works out. Where you talk about a position group that you really like,
deep they are,
and then all of a sudden it just flips. I mean,
we brought that up on the instant reaction. It's like the most OU football thing of all time, and I know that it happens to other teams across the country, but you look at a room at the beginning of the season and they are deep, and then they have an injury. And it's like, well, if there was one position group that could sustain that, it would have been wide receiver. And then all of a sudden, a month later, we're talking about having really needing some guys to step up in those roles. And some of these young guys are going to have to do that.
Well, remember this too. And, I'm not trying to, do sunshine and rainbows here, but Nick Anderson did not play tonight. I think there's so much disappointment in what happened, knowing that Jalil Farooq broke his foot. And, Deion Burks, 3 touchdowns, but he just didn't get behind the defense. Brendan Thompson didn't do anything to get behind the defense. J.J. Hester had a bad night catching the ball. But you still have Nick Anderson waiting in the wing. So it does improve dramatically with the depth. It's very woe is me right now because everybody's like, wow, where did all these receivers go? And all of a sudden, you watched a very vanilla offense, which, we can argue whether or not that was the right thing to do from a coaching standpoint. When you've got a new offensive line, you got a new quarterback, you get with new receivers, that they work so hard together this offseason. I don't buy it completely because I think even if you're being vanilla, you can do some things to get people behind, guys in the secondary. I mean, they were trying 2 tight ends, 2 running backs. They were trying all kinds of formations. They had, I'm trying to think of some of the guys on offense I didn't even think would play. Like,
there was a ton of guys that
Raggins
got in.
played.
Raggins played a whole lot.
There was a ton of guys in the first half that got in that I didn't necessarily think would be in there in the second quarter.
Yeah, and even Andrell, I mean,
Carrion was, he got a lot of playing time tonight, and he wasn't even on the depth chart going in. Jaquez Petaway didn't get as much as I nearly thought he would, but
I think he's about to get.
He's going to have to.
And I thought it was interesting. Brent said after the game that he's somebody that can play inside and outside. I wonder if they move him outside since Burks is basically taking all the snaps at the inside slot position. I wonder if they would bump Petaway outside to play some of that spot. But look, I think you need Andrell to look, it's going to take some time for him to be healthy. Like
I felt like tonight was kind of it's like, I don't know if you guys are going to call me an old man, but it's like the movie Days of Thunder after Tom Cruise, after Cole Trickle has his wreck.
I've never seen that movie.
And they're like, get him back out in the race car. Like, put him out there because he was worried about the wreck that he had, that it bruised his brain, and they're like, get him back in the race car and get him running around. Like, that's what they're trying to do to me with Andrell Anthony.
Overnight, Dunkin's Pumpkin Spice Coffee has sent folks into a cozy craze. I'm Lauren LaTulip reporting live from home in my hand-knit turtleneck that my Nana made me. Cinnamony.
The home with Dunkin' is where you want to be.
And they should. I think that it's like I would tell everybody to just be patient with him because that's just something that it's going to take some time. But you need him to be not only back, but he needs to be the guy that he was a year ago. Like, he has to be a big time contributor, somebody that can get behind the defense, be a little bit of a vertical threat. Because I don't know, Brendan Thompson, I still think he can be a big part of this offense, but he didn't instill a whole lot of confidence tonight, I thought.
No, and I mean, J.J. Hester, he had an opportunity to really step up and do something tonight. And he had 2 really good catches just go right through his hands. But yeah, I mean, you can't. It's a non-grade, and I'm sorry, my voice is shot tonight. I wasn't in the press box just screaming and cheering or anything. It's just what happens from time to time when you do radio all the time. But
it's never happened to me.
Well, I have cancer, I'm sure. Anyway, so I mean, Deion Burks, it was a 3 touchdowns, but at the same time, we were expecting him to have 150 yards receiving.
I will say, I think in terms of, I think a lot of people roll their eyes at the vanilla thing. They were very vanilla with Deion Burks. I think they're going to push him vertically. He was not running.
Thompson.
Yeah, he was not running a lot of vertical routes tonight.
We know that Brendan Thompson's bread and butter is not going to be going across the middle of the field.
Right. Yeah, and again, I think they had a couple shots that they wanted to take. It sounds like, Jackson and Brent and Seth all talked about this after the game. There was a couple RPOs tonight that I think Jackson misread. It sounded like a couple times that he handed it off that if he keeps it and throws it, maybe they get a big gain down the field. And that's just going to come with reps. But I thought Jackson was really good tonight.
Yeah, what did you guys think of Jackson Arnold? 17 to 25, 141, 4 touchdowns, which is a Oklahoma record for somebody making their first start in Norman. It could have been better, like you guys said, with the drops tonight. It could have easily been 21-25, and
there were no passes that were you just like, ooh, that was a terrible. I mean, some off-target stuff, but not like passes that went to the other team.
Nothing was in harm's way.
And most important, he didn't even sniff coming close to.
Yeah, there's
the
not
ball
one
over.
pass that I was like, that was nearly picked off or whatever. Like I thought
that was
a
really terrible
good
decision on his part.
Right, and I thought he scrambled well. Like there's a couple times he escaped and scrambled.
Tell you what though, and I think this is
he's got to learn how to slide.
That and just almost like absorb hits. There's a couple that I was like, is he getting okay? He's fine.
Maybe don't do that little Olay on the sideline that he did to avoid a defender. Just get out of bounds, like. It is a little too. There's a little too machismo sometimes there, and he might. I mean, remember Baker when he was early in his career? He got a couple of concussions before he stopped doing all that crap.
Yeah.
One thing I noticed
Jackson
too
might have that same mindset.
One thing I did notice about Jackson too, he's not afraid to rip into some guys' asses. Pause.
Yeah, definitely pause. You said that you saw him get after Spencer Brown quite a bit.
He got after Spencer Brown a couple times on, I think, some missed assignments.
I love that though. You need that.
He probably should have kicked him out of the team.
JJ Hester one time, and it wasn't after the drop pass.
Yeah.
I think it was route was wrong or something. Like he's definitely is not afraid to be vocal.
All right,
that's a good thing.
We can talk receivers all day, but next we have to go to the offensive line because Branson Hickman got hurt early. You could tell his right ankle was heavily taped, right or left. I can't remember now. It's on Twitter. Whatever I put it on.
I believe is right.
But it was super. Like you could tell he had a pretty serious ankle sprain that he's been trying to come back from, and he clearly re-aggravated it. And then all of a sudden, you take Jacob Sexton from tackle, you move him to guard, you move Michael Tarquin from right to left, you bring in Spencer Brown, which Jacob Sexton he was playing left tackle, right, before he got moved to guard?
Yes.
And then Nwiwu is in there, so it's not a change, but you bring back Aaron Hatchett to be the center. I didn't think he snapped the ball well. I'd have to go back and watch the tape to see exactly how he blocked.
Better than Bates.
But, all of a sudden, it just exposed your tackles and just Spencer Brown more than Michael Tarquin. But Michael Tarquin,
I can't
doesn't
wait to
have
go
a lot
back
of
and watch
highlights.
the game again because the way you guys are making it seem is like Spencer Brown must have had like one of the worst nights in the history of OU tackles.
Did you see Josh's grade?
No, what was it?
20
out of 100.
Yes,
that's not good,
dude. It was bad. He got pancaked.
Why is he so bad? How is he so bad?
I don't know, but he's not
Took
good.
the NIL money and run.
Stop payments.
You know who also was not great tonight? That's a little shocking. Fabechi. That right side was not great tonight.
Jacob Sexton's
That's
the
where
only
a lot
thing
of the
on that
issues
line
came
where
from.
you're just like, okay, they've got one.
Yes, correct.
Okay, 1 of 5. Not good.
I thought Hatchett actually was not bad. I thought Hatchett did a nice job. I think he's going to be their center until either Everett or Hickman's healthy. Hickman's also been dealing with a little bit of a knee issue, I believe. That was what his original injury was, and now
did he get rolled up on? Is that what happened
in
today?
practice? Oh well,
today.
Tonight.
Yeah, he got rolled up
when Branson went down.
Yeah, and it was on the first drive, and then he tried to tough it out on the second drive. Just couldn't.
And look,
do it.
Bill Beatonboss, he knows everything there is to know about playing offensive line. I just, for the life of me, I don't understand why you moved Jacob Sexton from left tackle and exposed the right tackle in Spencer Brown. Like, what's wrong with just letting Jacob Sexton be your left tackle and put Michael Tarquin as your right tackle?
And that's when I was a little
Why
confused.
can't you find that combination?
I understood
inside?
at first you put Spencer Brown in at right tackle, but then it was very clear he was struggling there. Why not move back to like what you're saying, put Tarquin at right, Sexton at left, put Ozeta at left guard or Eddie Pierre-Louis at left guard? Like that's, to me, I think that eventually has to be the solution because it's just clear to me that Spencer Brown just isn't that guy at right tackle.
This was Temple.
Yeah.
This was Temple. And he looked lost.
Yeah,
he played in the Big Ten.
Not good.
Yeah, I don't even think he was lost, Carey. He was just getting beat.
He was incapable.
Yes. It wasn't pretty. I don't know. I've also am of the opinion, like, start getting Logan Hallen some snaps, which they did in the second half, because I think there's a real world where Logan Hallen's might be your second best tackle.
I want to say, during that whole since Michael Hawkins came in the game, that was the same offensive line pretty much the entire rest of the way, and they ran the ball really well.
Yeah, Bates came in at center. Hallen came in at left tackle. I believe Sexton played left guard. I think Spencer Brown continued to play right tackle.
Yeah, he did.
And that's the thing, George. It's like that line could not block in passing situations. They couldn't run the ball either. It's not like oh, well, you can forgive the fact they're not good pass blockers, but they're road graders. Like, no, nobody could. When Taylor Tatum ripped off a 41-yard run late in the game, that was more yardage than any single running back had gained on all of their carries before that play. I think at 35 yards, I think somebody had 35 yards as a run. It might have been
Sam Franklin.
It was Sam Franklin. Yeah, but like he ripped off a run that was one single run that was longer than anyone else's totals.
I think it also. I think.
And I'm not crapping on the running backs.
We'll see. I thought the running backs were great.
We saw out of
here's the thing I'll say is, and I said this leading up to the game, is they have to figure out the center position. And with Branson Hickman out, if it's Hatchett, like I think he can hold over, but it just is concerning heading into Tennessee. I think getting Jake Taylor back will be super helpful at right tackle because he will be better than Spencer Brown, but the center spot, man, they really need a Troy Everett or because the starting line. What if the starting line all of a sudden is, Troy Everett at center, left guard is Hatchett, who was playing really well at left guard the first series, the only position he played it. Left tackles Jacob Sexton, right tackles Jake Taylor, Fabechi Wiwu is right guard. Like that's a pretty. You could live with that offensive line.
When it comes to towing, seeing is believing. That's why Chevy Truck's advanced camera technology offers up to 8 available cameras for 14 unique views, so you can focus on the view that really matters. Chevrolet, together let's drive. Learn more about Chevy Trucks at Chevy.com. Safety or driver assistance features are no substitute for the driver's responsibility to operate the vehicle in a safe manner. Read the vehicle owner's manual for important feature limitations and information.
But they are just so banged up there, and I don't know how serious Jake Taylor's injury is. Brent didn't act too concerned about it. He said he's going to be back next week. We'll see. But they got to figure out the center spot, man. They desperately need a Troy Everett or, I think Hickman's high sprained ankle. That's not an easy injury to come back to quickly. Like he's probably out. I would bet 3 or 4 weeks with that injury.
I guess they just didn't play enough of you and Eddie shitting on the offensive line in practice.
Yeah.
Because they didn't seem to be motivated by that.
They better get ready because it's coming.
I don't think it's a thing of motivation. I think they just
talent
aren't very good. And that's where I've reached a point where it's like, if they aren't, why aren't you just playing a Heath Ozida or Eddie Pierre-Louis or Eugene Brooks? Like, just play the younger guys who have higher ceilings and let them screw up.
Yeah, if you're going to struggle and try and find some chemistry and older guys that just aren't as talented as they need to be to play at a place like Oklahoma, why not just go, like you said, with the guys that have the higher ceilings? Let them I'd rather see Heath Ozida out there. And I get it. Everybody loves the backup that they haven't seen, just like with quarterbacks. Heath Ozida might have a lot of problems. Eddie Pierre-Louis might have a lot of problems. But at some point, you know what you've got in these guys. And I'm not saying that, okay, game one, bench all those guys. They don't need to play anymore. They still get opportunities, but, man, you got to start looking at some other. It's break glass in case of emergency time right now.
4 quarters in?
See, I'm not there yet.
I'm just saying for the young guys.
They did win 51-3.
Thanks to the defense.
Yeah, yes.
Temple fumbled 4 times.
Yeah, they're terrible. They're a terrible football team.
I'm just saying, if
bad.
If you're right,
they were 1-12 from on third down.
I understand where you're coming from,
but
Eddie. That they
won by 48 points,
and the right tackle couldn't block for shit.
Yeah,
I mean, against maybe one of the worst teams in the FBS.
Maybe one of the worst quarterbacks that's played on Owen Field in 10 years.
Yeah, he was bad. He was really bad. I'm not making any excuses. I don't know if we need to like break any glass yet.
I'm saying like if you have Heath Ozeta in a glass case and Eddie Pierre-Louis in a glass case, you're like, we're not going to mess with
It's not going to happen.
It's time to break glass and let him play a little bit.
It's not going to happen. We know that's not going to happen. Is there anything based off of the last decade plus from Bill Beatabo that says that would happen?
Caden Green.
Yeah, and he was a freshman All-American.
And they should have played him earlier.
Ben Powers was a guy that he was hesitant to play.
Yeah, but he was a JUCO guy.
Yeah.
I think that eventually they'll. I mean, I think
I agree with you. Just to be clear, it just I
don't know if you do, Eddie.
Huh?
I don't know if you do agree with us.
No, I think I get what Eddie's saying.
They play like they play tonight. They're going to lose 6-7 games this year.
Yeah, I mean, but Eddie's saying Bill. The reality is Bill is slow to make drastic moves, and he is.
Yeah.
I'm just saying I'm like the fans. I'm like, well, I'm sick of the way you handle things, and I want you to do it my way.
I do think though they're gonna throw out some of those guys next week, in the next couple weeks, and just see what they've got, because
and that's fine if that's what they need to do. They can do anything that they want over the next 2 weeks. I do think that Houston and Tulane are going to be much better competition than Temple did. I mean, I don't think Temple's going to win more than 2 games this year. They might not win a game. That's a bad football team.
Yeah, I have no idea where they're even good at after watching that team.
Oh, I don't think they're good at any area. Temple. Maybe punter. He's going to get a lot of work this year.
Defensive end worked Spencer Brown, so maybe he's pretty good.
Probably not.
No, he's probably not.
I will say this, and Temple was so bad offensively that it's hard to like really kind of judge what that is.
Yeah.
I think defensively they might be pretty good. I truly do.
I want to get to defense, and we're going to talk about the turnovers and the guys that emerged tonight that were not named Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman. But first off, our presenting sponsor, our OGs, Eskridge Lexus. They are back. They say that they're excited to be the presenting sponsor. I don't know if I believe that, but look, I got to tell you, I appreciate all you guys out there listening. We've had people go to him and say, yeah, I'm a scooper. I want to buy a Lexus, and I can't believe that's happened, but it has. And Ed said, look, it's sober or not sober, either works for us. We love your post-game shows. We love sponsoring. People ask him about it all the time. If you're down around Campus Corner on game days like today, I saw they had a really cool Eskridge Lexus. I think it was an NX, maybe, like you have an NX, right, Eddie? UX, okay. I think it was an NX, but it was bright red. It's just beautiful. But stop by the Eskridge Lexus display featuring various new Lexus vehicles. This week they had an LX600, an NX350H, that's the hybrid, and the all-new completely redesigned GX550. Next week for the Houston game, George, they're going to have a GX550 with the exclusive Overtrail package that would be the perfect addition to any tailgate. I know you're an SUV guy.
Yeah,
I showed you the
car
GX.
looks sick. I mean, it looks awesome. So maybe that's in my future.
What are you up to? You got a Toyota motor in your car. What are you up to? Over 200,000 in the FJ Cruiser?
176,000. I love my Toyota FJ Cruiser too, but that car looks awesome. The new design is pretty sweet.
For all Sooner Scoop subscribers and listeners, if you're buying a new or pre-owned vehicle from Eskridge Lexus, this is the best deal that he's ever given you guys. Mention that you're a scooper and receive $1,000 off any vehicle in stock. Shop online at www.eskridgelexus.com or give a call today at 405-755-9000. That is $1,000 off any vehicle in stock if you tell them that you're a scooper. And they do this even though Eddie crashed their son's wedding or their brother's wedding.
Yeah, technically, brother. I thought you were going to say that I crashed a car. I was like, no. But I was technically invited to crash the wedding.
I don't know how that works, but
all of his fraternity brothers, I pre-gamed with them, and they said, yeah, you can come. So I threw a suit on and went over to the wedding. It was a beautiful wedding, too. We love Will Eskridge.
Will and Ed are the best, and big supporters of the pod, so support them if you are looking for a new vehicle. And really, it's not even about luxury. I mean, their cars are pretty priced like pretty everything else, and Eddie and I both drive them. And it's a difference. I mean, it really is a difference.
The thing I love about Eskridge, too, is just the service. Like going in for the services and all that kind of stuff. I love just going up and sitting in the waiting room, lobby, whatever.
They try and give me a car, and I'm like, it's going to be a couple hours. It's like, I'm fine. You got TVs here.
Hang out.
Yeah.
We'll hang out with the old people, watch The View, see what Joe Biden's up to.
All right, let's get to the defense.
Which isn't much.
It was, and I thought the question was asked properly, and I think it was almost one of the last questions, but year three for Brent Venables. Zach Alley called all the defense tonight. But it wasn't just Danny Stutzman and Billy Bowman helping everybody else to be where they're supposed to be. You have Kendall Dolby out now. He was
awesome. I love Kendall Dolby. I love talking to him. I love watching him play football. I think he is an excellent football player and an excellent piece for what they needed at that cheetah position.
And he's been
Samuel
fantastic.
Omasigo's coming too.
Yeah, Sam Omasigo got a little bit of playing time tonight, more than we've seen of him. But I mean, just go up and down. You got to see Jaden Jackson play. It wasn't a big flash plays there, but you saw Grayson Halton with a couple of sacks tonight.
Yep, Grayson Halton was really good. Every guy that is like, I want to see him play. He went out and made a play, whether it be Grayson Halton, Samuel Omasigo, Lewis Carter. Obviously, he played well defensively. Had the forced fumble on the Jaron Canick scoop and score. Kenai Walker, I thought was really good tonight. Robert Spears Jennings coming downhill.
You force a fumble and recover the fumble all in the same motion.
Danny led 6 tackles. There were 3 or 4 with 4 tackles. Kip Lewis, Jacoby Johnson, Robert Spears Jennings, Lewis Carter, Billy Bowman, and then 5 guys had 3 tackles. Billy Bowman, R. Mason Thomas, Kenai Walker, Grayson Halton, and Sammy.
Yeah, I mean, Danny led the team in tackles. Really wasn't really that noticeable.
Kind of a quiet 6 tackles.
And you saw Lewis Carter tonight. I mean, I thought that was really interesting to kind of see him. He forced a fumble in the game.
It was kind of interesting what they were doing with the linebacker rotation too. It was like Danny's staying; he's not coming off the field, and then they just rotated every other. I thought Kobe McKenzie had a nice night.
I told you guys. I said I think they were going to play Kobe a lot this year, and sure enough, he played a ton tonight. He was great.
If you left the stadium early, which I understood if you did. You had a great finish to tonight.
Marcus Strong.
Back-to-back sacks.
And that's another one of those things of and it's kind of like the success Oklahoma had running the ball in the fourth quarter. It's did they just wear him down?
Yeah.
Were they worn down, Temple?
But you take it. I mean,
they played 84 guys tonight.
6 sacks on the night. I mean, I was telling Eddie when we were walking back from the stadium to the office, last year in the opener against Arkansas State, the big narrative was OU doesn't have a pass rush. They only had 1 sack against Arkansas State, who's Ethan Downs. This year they get 6. And again, I don't know how much that actually means anything because it's against Temple, but I don't think you can complain when you get 6 sacks. I mean, Grayson Halton might be their best pass rusher. He was awesome tonight.
He looked good.
Well, they had 6 sacks. They almost had 6 turnovers because Billy Bowman, if not for landing on his head, he probably would have held on to that. That would have been an
awesome play.
Yeah.
On the replay, there was a second I thought, well, did he make the catch and then the ball or the ground forced the fumble? I don't think he ever really just truly had
it was one of those where he had it in his arm, and when his arm hit his elbow hit the ground, it kind of lodged it out.
He made a couple of really good open field tackles too out in the flat.
I've been doing. Let me ask you this: I've been doing so much stuff in the office last year. I wasn't going to as many games, but was tonight, George? Maybe you can answer this. Was tonight? Did they just fail to play replays as much as they usually do?
Oh, my gosh. It was awful tonight.
You wanted to see so many things replayed and they would never replay.
I feel like it was the worst it's ever been. Because there's so many times that I was looking to find the replay.
And they just showed nothing.
Yeah, and then the TVs in the press box were so behind that by the time they were showing the play, I would miss the next play.
Yeah, it was frustrating, and I think... it's a Friday night game. I don't want to be too hard on Sooner Vision. I'm sure they were low. They had some staffing issues being on a Saturday. They rely on retirees and stuff, I think, to do certain things. So maybe and students maybe weren't available because they might have had something to do. But so I don't know what the reason was for that, but hopefully that's fixed in the future and replays are more prevalent that we saw tonight. But we should say this. Des Malone starting, playing most of the night at corner. Kenai Walker at the other corner. Brent Venables was asked about Woody Washington after the game. He said he was just a little banged up, and he was dressed up, and he was active. He was in the huddles, all of that stuff. He was communicating. But he said he was just a little banged up, and they decided to hold him out. And the same for Eli Bowen. And outside of that, was there anybody defensively that you just didn't see a lot of?
Gentry's kind of in that mix with Woody. He did play.
He played just a little bit, though.
Yeah. I thought what we saw out of Kenai and Des Malone, though. Des Malone have a good night? I couldn't tell.
He had a quiet night.
Yeah.
Which
I guess that's
never bad for a cornerback.
Yeah, sure.
I thought Robert Spears-Jennings was really good tonight.
Yeah.
He's that guy that I point to, say, when you have guys outside of Stutzman and Bowman who are starting to step up and become their own voice on the defense, I think Robert Spears-Jennings is next in line right now.
Absolutely.
Well, Kendall Dolby first, but then Robert Spears-Jennings.
This episode is brought to you by Microsoft Azure. Turn your ideas into reality with an Azure free account. Get everything you need to develop apps across cloud and hybrid environments, scale workloads, create cloud-connected mobile experiences, and so much more. Discover what you can create with popular services free for 12 months. Learn more at azure.com. That's AZURE.com. And sign up for a free account to start building in the cloud today.
It's a good group back there. It's just a good, deep group to a certain extent overall. And obviously we're only 4 quarters into this, but there was signs of the makings of what could be a pretty good defense and a defense that could keep you in games. And that's why when you look at the offensive side of the ball, it was bad. But maybe just stay the course.
You got some time.
We'll check back in. Now, I do think that like Houston, I don't really know what they have as Willie Fritz makes that move over there. I don't think Tulane's just necessarily a terrible team. And that's going to be a kind of a good little warm-up for what's to come on September 21.
I think my takeaway from tonight is OU's going to have to win some games ugly this
100%.
year, and the offense at times is just not going to be.
It's going to frustrate you.
Yes,
which makes it even more imperative that Jackson Arnold takes care of the football, especially if you're going to get in some of these games where you're going to have to win with defense.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
defense and special teams.
I think I think because I think I said this. I think I maybe tweeted it, and it was just like they might have to win some games ugly, but you feel good that they can. Like I think the defense is good enough that you can win some games ugly. You just need like Eddie said, don't turn the ball over. I think they got to figure out how to run the football. Like the receiver stuff doesn't concern me just yet because I think that they have some guys there. Deion Burks is going to make some plays, but if they can figure out the offensive line enough to just run some basic stuff where they can rush, for 200 yards a game, like then they'll be fine offensively. I just don't know, like that's where it starts for me. Is like I'm not so worried about protecting Jackson Arnold as much as I am. They've got to figure out how to run the football.
Well, and we should say this: DeMarco Murray was not there tonight. He was serving his 1-game suspension, so some of the rotation could have been explained, or any weirdness you felt could have been explained by that he wasn't there because. Javonte Barnes didn't play a whole lot tonight.
But he looked great.
But when he did, he was fantastic.
I really do think that there were points where they were just kind of pulling stuff back.
Yeah.
Like holding a bunch of stuff back.
Yeah, I don't think they were full of shit when they said they're being vanilla. Like, I really do believe there was a lot of, especially in terms of, like, we didn't see a ton of Gavin Sawchuk tonight. Like, how many attempts did Gavin Sawchuk have?
He just wasn't that productive when he was running.
No.
He just never got into a rhythm.
Gavin rushed the ball 6 times for 15 yards.
Yeah.
Longest one was 5 yards. He actually had the lowest yards per carry at 2.5. Jackson was 3.1. Taylor Tatum, 16.5, 11.2 for Sam Franklin on 4 carries.
Yeah, 11.2.
I like Sam Franklin. Again, they ran a lot of different guys tonight, so it's hard to say. Like I'm interested when it comes to, nut cutting time in a close game.
When they're playing Tennessee.
And you got to run the football. Who's their guy? I think it might end up being Barnes.
It looked, just based off how they ran the ball tonight, I loved how physical Barnes ran the ball. And and I think you said it in the instant reaction, he looked extremely explosive. The guy that we thought
I think he might be their most explosive guy. I think Tatum's their most dynamic. He in open space, Tatum can
if you give me a three person cycle of Sawchuk, Barnes, Tatum, I can live with that.
And Tatum was the second back out there tonight.
Yeah,
he was.
Oh, I almost lost it when I saw 8 out there.
And I think we're going to see a lot from him this year that we didn't see from Jeff Lebby was two back set. They would run 22 personnel. They'd have
Barnes
2 backs
and Tatum were out
2
there.
tight ends.
Barnes and Tatum were out there quite a bit, weren't they?
Yeah, and then they would run Arnold. And I think they're going to run Arnold. I think the quarterback run game, like you saw the speed option that Hawkins and Tatum ran at the end to score. I think you're going to see that quite a bit.
Worries me. I just don't know, like, the physicality of the SEC that everybody always talks about. Like, can you get away with that in somebody that is, to a certain extent, as inexperienced as Jackson Arnold? Like, does he know how to take some of those hits or avoid that big blow? I don't know.
I mean, I think you got to live with it. Yeah. I think the way this offense is, like, if Jackson can rush the ball for 50 yards a game or whatever, you got to live and die by it.
No, yeah, I think that, like, his legs do give you a different avenue that you need to explore, but I don't know if I would.
It should be sparingly,
right, or in the right spot.
Yeah. Okay. There is one thing I want to hit on defensively that I kind of had on my list. Let me ask you this: if there was one guy tonight that you really were expecting to see something from, but you didn't see it, who would be first on that list for you?
Expecting to see something
Expecting to see, a difference maker, a play here
maybe
or there.
Bowen. It just didn't seem like, but not that Bowen played bad.
Right.
But he, every time we saw him last year, he made like just a big play. Mm-hmm. And it just seemed like he didn't have one of those moments. And that's just part of it. The ball doesn't come your way.
Maybe, and this is super, super unfair, but maybe Jaden Jackson, just because of the way that hype had been built up over the last couple weeks.
I'm thinking a similar.
DeJohn Terry.
No,
you're thinking of
Dominic Williams.
I
thought
I didn't notice him much at all tonight.
I thought his first tackle was like, holy shit. Okay, that's why you go pay
Josh
whatever
gave him
you
one
did.
of the highest grades on the team.
Really?
Yep. I think he gave him like an 88.
You didn't see. I mean, he had 2 tackles on the night.
Yeah, but I think people.
And I'm not really watching to see, who he frees up to make other plays and things like that.
But here's the thing: is like Grayson Halton they're different players. Dominic Williams is not a pass rusher. Dominic Williams was brought in to just take up space.
I mean, he's getting double teamed.
And his push tonight on a few plays was,
he's disrupting without making it noticeable.
Yes, like he was in there a lot tonight. So
I have to go back and watch this now.
Yeah,
I thought R. Mason had a really nice night too.
R. Mason, he got off the edge a few times. It was really you know who didn't make a splash at all tonight? It's PJ.
Yeah,
he didn't play enough. I didn't think.
I think he's a little hurt.
He was out there quite a bit in the second half.
Yeah.
I think he's a little banged up.
I did see one play where if the running back would have chosen to go left, PJ was right there, but he kind of circled around, like saw the pressure, and then went the other way, and he ended up getting tackled for close to a loss. But PJ had blown up that side of the line.
You know who did play quite a bit that I was a little bit surprised at? Trace Ford, I thought, played quite a bit tonight.
And I thought he played well.
He had the tip pass at the line of scrimmage. I don't know if he's
going to play.
He got some. I don't know if he had.
He's
going to
play a lot. I think Trace Ford.
I think he's probably as healthy as he's ever been right now.
It's awesome. I love Trace.
He's a great dude. We talk to him every week on our morning show.
Shout out Jaden Hardy had an interception tonight. Some of those young guys really do flash. They just look good.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael Boganowski is going to be. I'm just so bought in on Michael Boganowski.
He's going to be a stud.
If his neck stays connected to his shoulders,
I think
he has no
he came
regard
in. Was
for
it
his
his second play in the game, and he just hit the shit out of a guy?
Yeah, he blew a guy up.
Robert Spears Jennings was that way when he first started.
Yeah.
Gentry Williams was that way.
I think
they both
there's
had to have shoulder surgery.
There's a certain instinct that you have to have, and I guess a reckless abandonment for your body and mind that some of those guys have. I love it.
More time in the weight room before he's throwing himself around like that.
I think he's crazy.
I can't believe we've gotten this far into the pod and haven't mentioned the superstar kicker that OU has.
I was going to do that, and you kind of distracted me
Tyler
with some other
Keltner,
stuff.
he's going to win the Lou Groza. No, it was
3 made field goals. What was it? 59 was or
50?
50?
It was 50, but
50, which is so. You know what? It's I hate to just keep shitting on the kid, but
50, 42, and 24.
His first field goal as an OU kicker already is the longer than any kick Zach Schmidt has ever made in his career at Oklahoma.
I thought he looked really good tonight. You didn't. After the 50-yarder, I kind of had reservations on if he was going to make it. And then when he nailed it, it was like, okay, they got something.
The one thing I am worried a little bit about on special teams is I don't know if Josh Plaster should be the holder. He has fumbled around a couple holds.
Yeah, he almost Keltner almost missed the extra point there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, and he also, I think he fumbled the snap on maybe the 24-yarder.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, I don't know. He also last year there was a couple kicks that Schmidt, I think it was the Texas game, he missed one, and it was Plaster who fumbled the snap.
Well, that's not good.
Yeah, so I don't know if they have another person
something
who
we
can
keep
hold
an eye
it.
on here.
By the way, it was interesting, and I know you're going to write about this, or maybe Bob already did, but game ball given to Zach Alley after the game, and there was apparently some crowd surfing that went on that the players picked him up and he went all over the locker room or whatever. But it was it was the first time you had a chance to talk to him. Really,
I welcomed him to OU.
Right,
8 months on the job.
8 months later.
Yeah, he walked up to the podium and I said, "Welcome to OU, Zach."
And here's the thing, he was great.
He was amazing. He was awesome.
Brent's just been paranoid there. He's just. Let's get Brent to win a SEC championship and maybe he'll relax.
There are two very different personalities between. It just seems like between Zach Alley and Seth Luttrell, like they are very polar opposites.
But I would also say one got up there tonight and his debut wasn't as great as the other one.
No, that makes sense.
Zach Alley's debut went about as well as it could have gone.
I thought they played extremely, extremely well.
I had people telling me I jinxed Seth Luttrell with my article that I wrote last week.
I don't know how
already blaming me for their.
I don't think it was Seth Luttrell's fault that Spencer Brown was getting beat.
Blaming you for a 51-3 win. I mean, my God.
Football's back.
The football's back. Have you seen the board?
Oh yeah.
It took like one offensive series for them to start a Bill
every time.
Bill Beatenbow.
I thought they did not play well offensively, but I don't think that we need to push any panic buttons.
The one thing I'll say, here's what I'll say about the offense, and I wrote this in my story. I think I'm not worried about Jackson Arnold. And again, you don't know. We'll see when he faces a real defense. But I thought he was really good tonight. I think you've got a stud in Deion Burks. I think your running back room is a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And I think you do have some young guys at receiver. And then we haven't even talked about the tight end.
I was getting ready to say there's one other
group
offensive room or position group that I thought played extremely well. Bauer Sharp is great.
Bauer Sharp's going to
and Jake Roberts really didn't
huge part of the offense.
Jake Roberts didn't do anything in terms of statistics wise, but he had.
I would say that
when they had to run the football, he was in the game.
The play they had we can talk about vanilla, but the play they had where I think it was Jake Roberts went in motion, and then Jackson kind of lobbed that touchdown pass to Bauer Sharp over the linebacker. Like that was his second best pass of the night behind the Farooq.
Yeah, it was a great throw.
But that shows you how they're going to screw with people with two tight ends in the game.
Yeah, they're going to use those guys quite a bit. And I thought Caden Helms got in at the end of the game.
How about McIntyre? McIntyre was the third tight end.
A lot.
Yeah. Cade looks good, man. He got a sleeve too.
Which I'm wondering if that means Caden Helms is, because they were bragging on him a couple of weeks ago.
I think when you talk about bringing a guy on slowly, I think they're going to bring Caden Helms on extremely slowly.
His injury was
he just played a football game for the first time in 2.5 years.
Yeah.
I guess he played up in Nebraska in 2021. I think they'll bring him extremely slow.
Well, and look, it's going to be really interesting with some of these guys like Andrew Anthony, with Jake Taylor, because this thing can turn really fast if guys get healthy in terms of just how good it looks. Seth Luttrell can go from vanilla, we don't know if he's the answer, to wow, this guy really knows his stuff if guys just get healthy. And that starts with the offensive line. It's at receiver with Nick Anderson, with Andrew Anthony. Caden Helms, if you want to throw him in there, tight end. There's potential weapons there, but we don't know, how much this offensive line is going to hold up in time for them to really gel and develop and become a good offense. Like you said, this might be a team that wins ugly all year.
It wouldn't be the sexiest thing in the world, but I know for a fact there's a lot of people around here that would prefer winning over losing. How about that?
Just like Jalen Hurts.
Well,
look, it's been... By the way, I don't know how the Friday Campus Corner thing is going to work out. I mean, this was a game night tonight. They're going to have it open the night before games, home games. So I don't know how many people will come down here. They did do a good job of trying. They had food trucks out there all over the place. They had the bands. When I was walking over the stadium, I think the Super Freak or whatever, they were playing a Bon Jovi song, which I thought was... No, I mean, they're trying something. I don't know if it's going to... I think when you guys came back from doing the instant reaction, you said there was a fight breaking out.
Yeah, that happens on the corner, though.
Yeah.
I will say, the stuff that has been moved to the north side of the stadium, the Walk of Champions, all that kind of stuff, I thought it was excellent. Yeah. I thought it was really cool. I don't know, maybe just the north side of the stadium offers a little bit better backdrop than over on the south side, but... Yeah. I thought it was really cool. It was very well executed. All that was good. I thought the fans were great tonight. They stayed through basically the third quarter, which I was a little bit surprised at. It did turn into a nice evening.
Well, that was the weird thing. It was you had to keep playing Jackson Arnold. And I will tell you this, the one big negative that I took away from tonight, as far as Seth Luttrell, my biggest criticism is, you never want to come out of halftime with the ball and go 3 and out.
Yeah.
That puts you in a position to be questioned about how good of an offensive coordinator you are, because the really great offensive coordinators, you give them a chance to come out of halftime with the ball, they'll put something together. And you didn't see that tonight. So that, to me, was probably the most damaging thing, the biggest critique I would have of Seth Luttrell's night tonight.
They did get behind the sticks though on that first possession, because Jackson got sacked on the second play.
That's true. But the other 2 plays they ran didn't really do anything.
Yeah, they got Dion for a yard and then
5 yards.
The first play?
Oh no, 1 yard.
I think they almost got back to the original line of scrimmage on that third down.
Yeah.
It is what it is. I'm going to give them a C- tonight. That'll be my grade offensively. Overall,
I'd give them a D.
Offensively?
I think that's fine.
Yeah.
What do you give the defense?
An A+.
I'd give them an 89.
Man, you really are young.
How much they forced 6 turnovers.
You haven't seen great defense.
Could have been 7. Could have been 7.
I mean, it was about as good as it could have been.
The greats need to be left wanting more, right?
George is used to Lincoln Riley defense.
I am. I'll say this.
Or Mike.
The defense that they played tonight, you could win a SEC or national title with that.
Yeah,
type of
absolutely. I mean, hell, they win the national championship if they have the 2017 offense with this defense.
That's what I'm saying.
They might win the national championship with the 2016, 2017, 2018 offenses.
Yeah, but I think that speaks to more about those offenses being historically great.
Well,
they just needed a defense that had anything.
But, I mean, you compare, Sam's 2008 defense to any of those defenses, it's not a contest. Even throwing, Mike Ballaghan in there last minute because, Austin Box was hurt.
Yeah.
Those defenses were legit.
It was a good start. It's
that's the stuff I'm talking about, George. 2008, that's when OU had legit like
you know, I
nationally
was
acclaimed
alive
defenses.
and watched the 2008 team. I know good defenses.
And you were
They're
how
not
old?
as good as the 2008 defense.
And you're how old?
28. I was 12.
Yeah, I was going to say that doesn't make any sense.
But I watched every game. I went to every game.
I did too. I mean, I remember watching.
I know
remember
Travis
watching,
Lewis and Jeremy
I
Beal.
remember watching the Orange
Gerald
Bowl
McCoy.
and when they were playing Washington and the Schooner came out on the field, and I didn't understand why there were penalties everywhere and why it was so bad. But I was like 10 then.
Oh, come on. I knew plenty when I was 12. I'm not saying this defense is as good as the 2008 defense, but I do think that they're very good.
Also know that in Top Gun, they also tried to get Tom Cruise back up in the air. So
I do like Top Gun.
Top Gun, Days of Thunder basically just
I was
stole
not alive
Top
for
Gun
Top
and
Gun.
turned it into NASCAR. But they didn't kill someone for effect like they did with Goose. All right.
Do you think that Muhammad Atta liked Top Gun?
You just can't stop yourself. You cannot. You always have to top everything with your tomfoolery.
I'm so tired.
I'm going
I
to be
am so
honest. I don't
tired,
even know
too.
who that is.
That's why he says it,
He
because
flew a
no one
plane
knows who
He
these
flew a
people
plane
are.
into the World Trade Center.
Jesus Christ, Eddie.
All right.
And with that, we'll be back for
YouTube
another
comments,
edition
I
of
cannot
the
wait. Yes.
Eskridge Lexus Postgame
Ed
Podcast.
knows what he signed up for. I mean, trust me.
He does.
All right. Thank you to everybody. It was an interesting first weekend. Houston coming up. The great thing is we're going to be home, 4 straight weeks now. I mean,
I know it's crazy. It's so weird that they're opening up the season with 4 straight home games.
and the Friday thing was fine, but let's not do that again anytime soon.
It just felt weird all day.
We
Yeah,
just
it did.
felt so rushed all week to
Well,
get stuff
George and I were
done.
sitting here at the office before we went over to the stadium this afternoon. It was like, didn't really know what to do with our hands because it was like, there's no games on right now.
Yeah.
It's your regular Friday programming. It was a weird day. But at the same time,
It's going to be awesome
you're
tomorrow.
going to listen.
Saturday.
Yeah, tomorrow's
Yeah.
going to be great. They won by 48. They won 51.
They covered.
Yeah.
It was a good start.
But I think you can also say there's some valid concerns.
It was really
Absolutely.
close. It was. You got to admit that this. Though,
Absolutely.
Eddie, it was really close to them just winning 37-3.
Absolutely. Yeah.
If not for, defense and
Taylor
the
Tatum.
run game.
I think it had
going.
more to do with Temple just being a bad
Yeah.
football team. But at the same time, I do think that there are pieces. They have to get healthy. They have to figure out the offensive line stuff. I do agree.
I think it would be huge to just
with you guys.
If they can just get Nick Anderson and Jake Taylor back next week, I think both of those guys would just be a huge boost to those two units.
And just play better. Just play better up front.
But
Maybe they just have bad
Eddie, the problem is that they aren't good enough to play better.
They
That's what I'm saying.
might. How do we not know that? How do we know that?
It's 1 week. I'll agree. It's 1 week.
It was 3.5 quarters.
And we've seen some offensive lines like
I don't think that Spencer Brown started 35 games at Michigan State. I know they were a bad team, and he just flat out sucks.
I'll say this. I remember distinctly going to the Red River rivalry.
Why would they even recruit him?
Let me get this out. Going to the Red River rivalry and watching Baker run for his life, and they lost that game. And that was when Josiah St. John was tipping off runs and passes, and they had Farniok starting at one of the tackle spots, and that offensive line looked atrocious.
Yeah.
And Bill found a way to fix it by the end of the year.
Yeah.
I'm not saying
And
you
I don't
can't
think
do that.
I don't know if that team had a Heath Ozida or Eddie Pierre-Louise on it.
Correct.
I don't know.
I
have to
don't
look
know
at
either.
I'd have to
'cause
look at the youngsters.
But what I'm saying is,
Maybe that was
I think
Cody Ford that came in then and kind of.
I think I've seen
remember.
enough of Spencer Brown to know that he's not, and not even seen enough.
Well, yeah,
it's also what we've heard. What we've heard.
We saw enough of Josiah St. John to know that he wasn't the answer.
What
He
we've
got
heard
out of
since the spring, though, it's not just the 3.5 quarters he played tonight. It's what we've heard from the start that he got on campus.
all the way to the.
And by
spring,
no
yeah.
means do I think that the answer is leaving Spencer Brown in. They obviously have to do something there. And I think that they will if Jake Taylor's healthy.
They've also just gotten some bad luck at center.
The
injuries at center is
2015
just bad
offensive
luck.
line, Alex Dalton.
Jeez.
Remember he had a bad knee.
Ty Darlington was the starting center.
Darlington was the starting center.
Orlando Brown was Orlando Brown was starting at left tackle.
Oh, what was the guy? Not Alvarez. Was it Alvarez?
John Alvarez?
Jonathan Alvarez.
He played some.
I think he started the Tennessee game and then maybe Darlington finished it.
Someone's yelling at the podcast right now.
I don't remember, and I don't really care, to be honest. It has to get better. I think that's where we end it.
Dwayne Orso Backus.
He never played.
He never played.
Never played.
Neela Casatati.
My favorite.
He played.
Our guy Dylan Hartsick was on that team. Jonathan Alvarez, there he is. All right, that's going to do it. We'll be back again week after week after week after week for another edition of the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast. Thanks, everybody, for listening. Enjoy your Saturday football. We'll enjoy ours, and we'll see you back on Monday for a recruiting report with Josh McQuistion.
Busy couple days for Josh. Torrey Blaylock on Thursday, and he's hitting a doubleheader tomorrow.
Very nice. Going to have a lot of stuff for you then on Monday for the recruiting report. Until then, lots of great content. George Stoya, Bob Persbillo, they'll be writing it all up. More stories to come. Lots of stuff up right now. So thanks for listening. We'll be back again next week for another edition of the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast right here on Soonerscoop.com.